Welcome once again. My name is Christopher Armstrong, and I channel messages for those misfits, those visionaries who don't fit in the boxes that society has provided for us. So if you're here, it's because you've been guided here and there's something for you to receive. So just listen to your body, your energy, and trust. If this message is for you, you'll know. If not, that's okay. Just set it aside and move away. So I'm sitting in a cave right now, and there are a lot of topics that are coming up that feel not only relevant for me, but for a lot of us. So I'm going to take a moment and tune in, and let's see what comes through for the collective. So immediately there's a sense of weight, of heaviness that's been in the shoulders. The sense that I have to carry it all. That especially, as I came into this cave, I sat down and I started focusing on some tendon difficulty or pain that I've been having in my left leg, my knee, and some tightness in my shoulders. And when I tuned in, and this probably is reflected for you as well, there was a sense that I'm being invited to trust more deeply into the path, my true soul path, my true calling. And there's a fear of stepping into that path because that path requires me to take on more responsibility. And the fear is, the false story is that the more responsibility that I receive, the more weight that I will have on my shoulders, the more burden I will have to bear. And it's funny that I'm sitting in a cave, this empty space, like the womb, this empty space in the middle of a mountain that above me there's I don't know how much rock, and there's so much weight and there's so much heaviness. And yet I don't need to hold anything. Simply by being in this space, in this emptiness, in this nothingness, in the void, by trusting, I can just sit here and receive. I can receive peace and solitude and quietness and messages and inspiration and creativity, which I've been receiving a lot. And so the invitation for you is to recognize that the quote-unquote burden that there is for you to bear is, it's not real. It's simply for you to go and to accept the invitation into that dark space, into that stillness, into that void, into a place that many people wouldn't go into, and to receive. And the responsibilities that you'll be receiving may at first seem like they come with an increased burden, and also there's all these rocks around me that are carrying that burden, they're carrying that weight. And so perhaps it is for you to notice in your life where you already have pillars, stability, foundation, or even support, community, co-workers, people that you can get support from outsourcing to where that responsibility, that increased burden can actually be distributed. It's not for you to hold everything. That's ridiculous. It would never be like that. And it may be for you to receive the guidance, the inspiration, the downloads, the vision for the business or for the community or for the collective, and to bring that in, to come out of the womb and to birth that into reality. And you are not alone. Some of us retreat into the mountains, into the cave, and we receive the messages, the downloads, the inspiration. Those of us that receive those things, we come out of the cave, or we come down from the mountain like Moses with the tablets and the story of the commandments, however much accurately translated that was or not. But we bring that energy into the community. We are the bearers of that. But Moses was never alone. He might have had the staff of authority, the staff of leadership. He might have used that staff to part the Red Sea. And he did not do it alone. It's funny that as I say that, I hear a multitude of voices outside of me, people that are at the edge of the cave, but not actually walking into the cave. Perhaps because they can hear me talking, perhaps not, I don't know. I have all these stories that I could easily make up. And that's the thing, is that your mind will easily make up stories about the whole thing, but that's not the most important aspect. The most important aspect is that you simply listen to the messages, to the inspiration, to the downloads that come to you, and you bring them out of the cave, down from the mountain, and out into the community, and there will be people to receive you. And as you speak, as you share that message, as you speak that truth and that purpose, that vision that you have, not necessarily to everybody, though potentially through channels like social media or YouTube, things like this, and you speak it, there will be those that receive it, and there will be those that are activated by it, they're inspired by it, and they will come to you and they will support you. They will support you in the ways that they are most appropriately equipped, trained, and skilled at supporting. Now, the funny thing about this is last night I was watching a moment of scrolling because I couldn't sleep because I was in a hotel room, even though Spirit and my higher self had clearly guided me not to go and stay in hotels, not to stay in these artificial cube structures, but to stay outside, outdoors. And I resisted and I didn't listen to that for the seeking out of comfort in the form of air conditioning and a nice bed, which ultimately the bed was laden with chemicals from the soaps, and the air conditioning was filtered air that was just, yeah, artificial. And the idea was I was scrolling and having a moment of discomfort when I couldn't sleep, and I saw a short little video clip from Rick Rubin, and he was talking about, hey, if you're doing something in your life, in your business, in your work, your job, or a relationship that you're phoning it in, you're not actually interested in it, you're not enjoying it, there will be somebody who actually will do that role, the work, the connection with that person, that relationship, with great passion. And so you don't need to do it. In fact, by leaving that connection, by letting go of those responsibilities that you don't want to do, you're actually doing someone else a favor, because someone can occupy that space, take that role, and do something beautiful with it. And so this is a reminder that, you know, if you come down from the mountain with the vision, if you have a vision of something greater, something bigger, a greater purpose, but you feel weighed down by all the minute details, the tedious actions and the tasks and the spreadsheets and the setting up the systems and the back of the scenes, behind the scenes kind of stuff, which often happens to me, don't worry. There's people that love that stuff. And I know you might think at first, yeah, but then I have to hire that person or pay them or outsource or contract. Cool. And there will be more. There is a book that I can invite you to read, which is called Who Not How. And the idea is that you, instead of figuring out how I'm going to do something, think about who's going to help me do these things more, do them better, do them bigger. That also couples really well with a book called 10x is greater than 2x, which is by the same authorship. And the idea is that if you think bigger, you'll actually accomplish more easily, because thinking smaller requires, well, there's just so many ways, multitude of ways to, say, double your income versus a way to 10x your income. And so by choosing to 10x your income, you cut out the things that won't work, which often is working by myself, doing something and building and doing every single thing and wearing every single hat myself. Because I know that Moses or any of these figures, whether real or not, whether archetypes or not, King Arthur, etc., they were surrounded by people who did the things with them. Not necessarily for them, but with them, to fulfill the vision that that person had, because that person fulfilled their role. The role was of the visionary. The role was of the king, the leader. They are not greater than. They are not better than. We are coming out of an age where that person sits higher than, sits on the throne, and then the other people are subjugates of that higher being, the king or the queen. And we're turning more into the energy of the hive mentality. Not that we're all drones or something like that, but that we all serve a purpose, and that there may be a queen, but that queen is not necessarily greater than or better than the other people. Yes, integral. And the queen will not and cannot exist without the drones, without those that build the structures, that go and source the nectar, those that create the honey. And that way she has the safe structure in order to create more. Everybody is there thinking and feeling about the collective. And so you, as a visionary coming down from the mountain, coming in from the cave, coming out of the dream state with this big, powerful vision, you are necessary, because there are those of us that need to bridge. Oof, that one hits heavy. I bet there's a lot of emotion about this. There are those of us that need to go away from the multitude to bring the vision from the forest, the mountain, the retreat, the dream, the astral travel, and then come back onto the edge of that civilization, that society, and not necessarily deep into the heart of that society, because we can get contaminated or pulled back too far into that frequency, that vibration, the collective energy of that system, structure, hive. And then we can get lost. So we have to stay a bit on the edge. We have to stay a bit on the edge, which is a clear message I've been receiving. And to speak to those that are willing to listen to us, to invite them in and not force them, not drop the vision that we have on them, but to speak it when it comes clear and when it feels like it needs to be shared, and trust that those that are called to become a part of it, or to carry a part of it, or to... It's interesting that my voice gets kind of, choked up a little bit at this time. There's a hesitation, there's a fear about speaking. There's a fear about, well, whether it will be received or heard or accepted or validated. But trust that when your energy flows and when the message flows, that it's the right time, and when it doesn't, or it doesn't land, or the people seem to walk away or seemingly reject you, that's okay. It's not rejection, it's redirection. So speak that message where and when and how it feels necessary. Again, it could be like I'm doing now on a recorded message that will get channeled later into a social media stream. And trust that those that are ready to support will support. And they may support as clients, people who purchase your product, people who subscribe to your messages, people who want to collaborate, people who want to co-create, people who want to support you as our modern structure would call them an employee. Any of these things are all good, and you don't have to carry the burden that you have to know how it all will come together. Source knows that. All you have to do is be the visionary, speak the message, be the messenger. Moses had to come down, and again, the emotion comes in heavy in this. Moses had to come down and have enough faith that the people that would greet him at the bottom of the mountain would be the right people to hear him. And certainly some might want to throw stones, some might want to heave words of criticism, but don't worry. Source knows who needs to hear the message. You don't need to concern yourself with that. All you need to concern yourself with is receiving the message, receiving the vision, and speaking it when it feels right, when it feels good, when it feels natural. Do not force it. If you force it, you'll feel it. The contraction will happen. You'll start to cough. Your throat clogs up. People reject you. They laugh. They turn away. The energy shifts. It's okay. It's not a bad thing. You're not being rejected. You're simply being given a message that this is not the time. This is not the people. No judgment. Simply listen and respond. Remember, you're not alone. You're never alone. You never will be alone. And there will be times when you need to seek solitude. And understand, this is something that someone told me several years ago that was in a book. I don't recall the name of the book at the moment. Something about masculinity, men's work. There's a difference between solitude and isolation. Solitude is regenerative, restorative, rejuvenative. Isolation is punishment or protection. And it often comes, so as a man or as a person who is a visionary, we often need to seek solitude because we cannot bring these messages in when there is so much chatter and noise from those outside of us. When there is other people dropping their opinions through social media, blah, blah, blah. When there are other people talking all the time at cafes and in restaurants and in coffee shops, we cannot tap in and tune in. So when we are in the community, in the collective, it's hard to get those messages. So we seek solitude so that we can download, receive, channel, hear, see, whatever it is. And there's also isolation sometimes, either because we have a tendency to want to punish ourselves, a pattern we picked up from our parents. Self-punishment comes in castigation, isolation, punishing yourself, going into into timeout is how it would be described in my time. Going into timeout. And then sometimes our parents wanted to protect us, and so they threw us into our bedroom and they locked the door because our father came home drunk or our mother was out of control or whatever it might be. And so we had to lock ourselves, or somebody locked ourselves away. And that isolation was a form of protection. But you must clearly discern between the difference. Sometimes you are seeking solitude because you need the vision. You need to be the visionary, the one in the mountain, the one in the cave. And sometimes you need to be with people. But sometimes we lock ourselves away in isolation for shameful punishment of ourselves, reenacting old programs from our family or our society, the teacher that put us in timeout, the mother that put us in timeout. And sometimes we are protecting ourselves. But that type of protection doesn't ultimately serve, because isolation will not get you what you need. In those moments, we must sometimes push through the discomfort and seek out that friend, that lover, that companion that can support us in co-regulation, and walk up to them and say, hey, I'm not doing well. I need your support. I need a hug. I need a hand on my back. I need somebody with whom I can breathe deeply for just a few moments. Don't ask too much about the story. Just help me to regulate my nervous system. It's so much easier to do with someone else, I promise you. So discernment between isolation and solitude is key in this. Know when to retreat to the mountain. Know when you're forcing yourself into isolation. Clearly discern between the two. And know that sometimes you will need to be alone. Solitude is powerful. Thank you for being your visionary self. Thank you for being the one on the edge of civilization who knows that civilization is kind of crumbling. And we need those visionaries, because you will bring back the message that someone will turn into a business or a plan or a tech device or a computer program, or you might do it yourself. It doesn't matter. Be the vision keeper, the vision bearer, the vision bringer. We need you. That's all for now. If you feel stuck, overwhelmed, and you need support, there are ways that I can support you. You don't have to do this alone. Find the info below, drop your comments if you have a vision you need to share, even just speaking it or typing it out into this world. Sometimes that's all you need to do. So comment. Thank you for being present. My name is Christopher Armstrong, your guide for those misfits who don't belong in the cubes that the society has created for us. Until next time, remember, there are no mistakes, only magic.